Our mission has been to show our constituents, and all of Pennsylvania for that matter, that we are committed to a different brand of Pennsylvania politics, a different brand of leading the Commonwealth, a brand that repairs the damage that has been done by too many scandals in the past. Scandals that have left most of our citizens and our constituents pretty skeptical of Harrisburg and those who lead it. This cleansing process began with common sense reforms, no-brainers like ending the late-night legislative sessions, and continued with the launch of Penn Watch in 2012 and many others since. And today I'm excited that we get to announce the next step in restoring trust in Pennsylvania government, giving people more access to the way we spend their hard-earned tax dollars. I must add, though, however, over the last 5 years, many House Republicans and my colleagues have sponsored significant reforms to do their individual part. One of those reforms was when I introduced a piece of legislation last session to create a website called School Watch, which would give citizens access to the checkbooks of the public school districts that collectively spend $27.6 billion annually. Because the Pennsylvania Department of Education has been so supportive of our transparency goals, it saw an opportunity to create this type of access internally. And as directed by Act 82 of 2012, championed by my former House colleague and now Senator Ryan Ament, the department established the Pennsylvania Schools Performance Profiles, which uses data to generate a numeric score for each public school. Now in its second year, the Student Performance Profiles are an online resource designed to provide information and data on school quality and academic performance. Using the same data, PDE was able to expand the SPP to include publicly accessible financial data about our public schools on revenue and expenses for 500 traditional public schools, for 176 charter schools, 14 cyber schools, 73 comprehensive career and technical centers, and 29 intermediate units. Now, while my School Watch legislation did ultimately make it out of the Education Committee and through the House, actually twice through the House, we often heard opponents of transparency, mostly powerful education interest groups with a financial incentive to block transparency. We heard them claim that there was no way to grant this level of access without undue cost and undue burden to our schools. Oftentimes, these pretty pathetic excuses for delaying transparency had been effective. And we're even successful in thwarting these bills over the years. But once again, when the facts come to light, we see that those claims were completely baseless. When the executive branch and the legislative branch share a goal for giving the public access to their spending data, we can do it, and we did do it by the implementation of Penn Watch and now School Watch, which is going to show the public $56 billion of annual spending without an increased line item and without new reporting requirements for school districts. So hopefully, across the country, as states try to do things like School Watch and Penn Watch, and those same interest groups are trying to thwart transparency, they'll look to Pennsylvania as an example that you can put $56 billion of annual spending on a website, and you don't have to increase the line item in your budget. And school districts are already reporting a tremendous amount of information. Government is already reporting a tremendous amount of information, and we can then put that financial data online. And with that, I'd like to give you a closer look at the new transparency tool, and the types of data available. As I mentioned, the School Watch feature was made available as a result of data that PDE was already collecting to create the school performance profiles. So that's where the fiscal information will be housed. This website is paschoolperformance.org. paschoolperformance.org. This is what it looks like when you arrive on the home page. If you're unfamiliar with the site, all you do is select your role. And in this situation, we will select the media and the press, and then we'll click Get Started. From here, you can look, you can locate the school's profile of your choice. Since I'm a proud alum of Beaver Area High School, and I don't want anyone to think that I was picking on them, we're going to use Beaver Area High School as an example today. When Beaver Area High School comes up, you will see a tab in the top right corner that says View Fiscal Information, and that's where you'll access the district's School Watch data. As you can see here on the screen and included in your press packets, there are many different types of data elements available. You can see spending amounts for instruction costs, support services, non-instructional purposes, facilities and construction, the per pupil expenditures, tuition rates, average teacher compensation. There's a list of definitions in your press packet describing what each data element means along with the data source. There's also a breakdown of the amount of revenue collected from various sources. I think it's important for the public to be able to see where their district is getting, the district is getting their dollars. When we continue to hear claims and we fight in Harrisburg and around the Commonwealth about Harrisburg cutting X amount from education spending, or Harrisburg is not investing adequately enough in education, I think the first step in those debates going forward is having the data available so that people in the media and elected officials can easily see where we're spending dollars currently. If we're going to have debates in the future about how much to spend and we're not spending enough or we're spending too much, having access to data in an easy-to-use fashion is a responsible first step. Also, if you click on the graphic right here, you'll see that there's a pie chart for some of the information, just to put it in a more easy-to-use fashion for the public. Additionally, there are some financial reports, some supplemental reports available, including the school district's annual financial report and personnel salary data. One of the biggest changes from this website in the PDE model versus what was in the bill was that this website will have individual compensation amounts for professional employees, teachers, superintendents, principals. I think this is something that the media has asked for quite some time in an easy-to-use fashion, and absolutely something that we hear from our constituents that they want to be able to find. Additionally, there will be a trend section and a trend icon. If you click on the bar graph icon to the right of the dollar figure, you will eventually see that you'll be able to look back 3 years. So the public and the media will be able to see a trend in a simple-to-use fashion. Now, currently you're looking at 2012 and 2013 data. In May, you will get an update of 2013 and 2014 data. May is when school districts are required to submit their AFRs, and that's when the website will hopefully be updated. I think one of the most highly functional features of the School Watch is that we can compare and contrast the fiscal data of up to 4 different schools at one time. For demonstration purposes, we will plug in one of Chairman Saylor's school districts, Red Line School District in York County. In your press packet, you will find a screenshot showing the comparison of Beaver Area School District versus Red Line School District. And the last feature I want to point out today, I would like you to see in the bottom right-hand corner, if you click on the link, the data link, it will open up this data in an Excel worksheet where you have the ability, the media will have the ability to organize the information as it sees fit. Sometimes we've heard some criticism that even on Penn Watch or on some data sites around the country, that the media doesn't have the ability to almost manipulate the information that they want, rather than to continue to get pages and pages or have to organize it in a very burdensome fashion. So we're trying to find new innovative ways that will allow those who are using the site to be able to take the data they want and use it at their discretion, rather than have to create their own system every single time they're looking for a specific type of information or they want to compare it. Before I ask Chairman Saylor to come up and say a few words, I believe this is a big step forward. Do not get me wrong. I think this is one of the most significant steps that we could have taken in such a quick time period. The bill, as I mentioned, my bill legislation had not made it through the Senate Education Committee last session. So today we would have been starting from day one of the legislative process, but yet today we're here ready at 11 o'clock for almost a full implementation, maybe a little bit different than my legislation had drafted it, but a significant first step in taking all these different entities and putting their financial information online and beginning to set a template going forward. And I think it's important that we codify that into law. And so I will be introducing a bill that will, in the next couple weeks, that will begin the process to codify what you're looking at. And so that we can, while I feel it's a formality, clearly putting it into statute is an important formality, and I will be doing that. I'd like to invite Chairman Saylor up. If any of you do not know, Chairman Saylor is the new education chairman in the House, and he has obviously tremendous shoes to fill after Chairman Clymer's retirement, but I would like to invite Chairman Saylor to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Jim. Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Representative Christiana for his outstanding work. I think he may have mentioned in his comments that he was the prime sponsor of Penn Watch, which has been a huge success for Pennsylvania in opening up Pennsylvania state government. Jim had introduced this bill of School Watch back in 2013, and the bill would require PDE, or Pennsylvania Department of Education, to have a searchable database for the taxpayers. And I think that's important. One of the things I hear all the time from taxpayers in my district and throughout the Commonwealth has been the interest in opening up government so that people can really see what's going on inside. And I've told my school boards for years, since my election years ago, is the more open government can be, is the better that we as politicians, but government itself will run. There's more accountability. I also, I think the citizens of the Commonwealth should be very proud, and the people of Beaver County, for electing Jim, Representative Christiana, to the General Assembly because of his desire to really open up government. And it takes a lot of strength because, as Jim mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people who like to keep the doors closed. They don't want government to be open. And this goes to that direction of our schools. And one of the biggest issues, at least in my area, and I think throughout Pennsylvania, has been school property taxes. So people are more interested in seeing how their dollars are spent as their property taxes go up. So again, Jim, thank you very much for your hard work and dedication. I think this will give a lot of resources to our taxpayers to understand what's going on in their school districts so that they can more intelligently, when they approach their school boards in public meetings, be able to address certain specific concerns that they may have on financial dollars. I also think it's in the best interest of our children of this Commonwealth as well. The more openness that our school districts are, the ability for you as the media and taxpayers to make sure that the dollars are spent wisely, to make sure that our children are getting the best education possible. So with that, I want to thank Jim. I'm looking forward in our second meeting of the Education Committee to be reporting this bill out of our House Education Committee. I believe we'll probably be organizing the committee and passing rules for the committee next week, possibly the 21st. The following week is my hope that we will have a committee meeting and report School Watch out and send it off to the Senate soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would also, before we take some questions, like to make some thank yous. First, a huge thank you to Secretary Dumaresque and the folks at the Department of Education. We've been working on this for quite some time, and the concept. We shared a concept, and today we're getting to see a significant first step in making that a reality. Additionally, there's some important folks from last session who worked on School Watch that to get it this far along in the legislative process, which ultimately I do think had an effect of getting it across the finish line. Former Chairman Clymer for his commitment, and Speaker Smith, who both retired, they were a tremendous help last year, and Tony Aliano, the Chief of Staff for Sam, was a big help. I'd like to thank our leadership team as well, and most of all the colleagues in the House of Representatives. Speaker Turzai has been obviously a champion for reforming the ways of Harrisburg. Karen Coates, she was a tenacious fighter for getting school watch as far as it did last year, and they deserve a lot of credit. Some of my specific colleagues who were on the Education Committee, Senator Ryan Ament, obviously I mentioned his championing of the school performance profiles. I will miss him in the House, but it's really great to see him and thank him for his efforts, because him and Seth Grove, as the other tenacious ally I had getting these bills out of the House Education Committee, and then ultimately across the finish line, they have been very helpful, and I would be remiss to not thank them. But most of all, I'd like to thank the Republican House Education Committee staff. You know, we members sometimes get a lot of credit for things that we don't necessarily have even a fraction we don't deserve a fraction of the credit, but we get a tremendous amount of the credit. And these people help us achieve our goals. They work every single day, and the House Education Committee staff has been a tremendous group of people to work with, and they deserve a lot of the credit as well. With that, we'll take some questions.
Is compliance mandatory? Do the schools have to provide this information to PDE to place on the website?
Well, because of the way PDA structured it, and where they're getting the data information from, yes, they're required to report this information already. I think PDE has just found a way to organize that and display that in a very efficient manner. Because that was part of the difference in School Watch, was that there were penalties for not complying. That's not necessary with this approach.
Have you talked to anybody on the Wolf transition team about continuing this website when they take office?
No, the simple answer to your question is no, but I'm, like hopefully us and our Democrat colleagues in the House and the Senate, probably hopefully excited for this and to see it grow in the future. And I look forward to talking to the new governor about this whenever he gets an opportunity. That's it. It's pretty easy. All right. Thank you very much.